Case can be made that challenge varies from player to player, but there are a couple of games that truly earn the right to be described as easy. So here are the 10 easiest games of all time. And disclaimer, this list is not in a specific order like easy to easiest, but just a list of games that I think is easy. Luigi's Mansion was originally released on the Nintendo GameCube in 2001, but was also remade on the Nintendo 3DS in 2018. The premise of the game has gamers play as Luigi, who uses a flashlight and vacuum to suck up portrait ghosts in a haunted mansion. Even though the game was loved by fans for the graphics and fun gameplay, there were a few setbacks to the game, one of which was the difficulty. Luigi's Mansion didn't really give gamers much of a challenge and was also very Anyone remember when Ubisoft rebooted Prince of Persia with a whole new protagonist and art style, dividing the fan base down the middle? The platformer's visuals are still as jaw-dropping as the day of release, but the gameplay appears unwilling to punish players. Putting aside the fact that the prince's companion refuses to allow the protagonist to fall to his doom. Prince of Persia's biggest problem is the lackluster combat that requires essentially no strategy and offers little variation. While the original trilogy ventured down some rather peculiar avenues, Ubisoft maintained a steady level of difficulty throughout its entire Bugs Bunny is no doubt one of the most recognizable cartoon characters ever. He has been included in movies, TV shows, books, and of course, video games. One of Bugs Bunny's games comes in a form of the 1990 game, The Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. This game is notorious for being extremely easy to beat, with gamers having plenty of chances to regain their health and having bosses that barely pose a challenge. The title was so easy that there were even cheat codes on the Game Genie that would make the game harder to beat. Super Monkey Ball 3D is harder than the typical easy game, but context is vital when discussing long-running franchises. Among Sega's best-selling titles, Super Monkey Ball's success hinged on its addictive gameplay and nuanced level design. At initial glance, the mechanics seem to be almost too restrictive, but mastering the controls requires a ton of perseverance. Once accustomed with the protagonist's movements, Super Monkey Ball transforms into a truly gratifying adventure. Unfortunately, Super Monkey Ball 3D's puzzle took a notable step back in terms of complexity, a decision that reduced the game's replayability. Pong is by far the oldest game on this list, but is also one of the easiest. Pong was considered revolutionary in 1972 and definitely helped launch the video game industry. While Pong has an important place in video game history, the gameplay just doesn't live up to today's standards. Pretty much anybody can play Pong, as the controls are simply moving a paddle up and down. Sure, the levels go faster as the game proceeds, but the game just isn't a challenge for many people compared to other games today. Kingdom Hearts' Disney aesthetic and goofy dialogue cover up a robust RPG that features some of Square Enix's hardest encounters in decades. The first game's final boss rush will test the skills of most players, while Birth by Sleep features a couple of ridiculous difficulty spikes. In comparison with its predecessor, Kingdom Hearts 2's bosses fall way too quickly and without much effort. Circumventing nearly any puzzles or platforming, Square polished the sequel's combat to perfection, but the addition of drive forms undercut most of the campaign's potential hurdles. Sora's arsenal received a substantial boost, but the enemies remain cheaply the same. Yoshi's story may have been targeting younger audiences, but given the character's popularity, the game obviously attracted adult gamers as well. Released on the Nintendo 64, Yoshi's Story was a sequel to the challenging title called Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Story was based in a pop-up storybook and was presented as more of a puzzle game than anything else. While the visuals were fun to see, the difficulty was so easy that it didn't even really present a challenge for younger viewers. The game received mixed reviews at best, and the level of difficulty is often considered the reason why it didn't get better reviews. Unless playing with the Mortal Gauge unlock, Azura's Wrath barely seems interested in defeating the eponymous character on any of the difficulty levels. Asura may face opponents who are bigger than entire planets, but they go down with only a couple of clicks. Deemed a spiritual successor to God Hand, Azura's Wrath's over-the-top story is its only element that warrants comparison with Clover Studios' classic. As an anime with interactive sequences, Azura's Wrath serves its purpose, but the combat is too shallow to act as anything more than a mild distraction. Telltale Games had developed several games prior to their The Walking Dead games, but they saw a lot of success with The Walking Dead. The main reason for their success was that their games were more narrative-driven, allowing players to pick the choices their character makes. All of the Telltale Games series follow this same formula, and while it can be fun to watch and play, a choose-your-own-adventure story, it doesn't really present gamers with much of a challenge. Unfortunately, the company went bankrupt in 2018. So gamers will have to find new episodic adventure games going forward or just replay Telltale Games titles. Published on the Game Boy in 1992, Kirby's Dream Land introduced the adorable fuzzy ball and established many tropes that would become series staples. Considering the hardware it was on, HAL Laboratory worked wonders with what was available, lacking the protagonist's signature copy ability. Kirby's Dream Land ranks among the easiest and most bare-bones entries in the series. Stacking up rather unfavorably with the later games, there is little reason to try out Kirby's debut, when other components pick up the slack and lack of challenge is not an issue. Kirby's Dream Land comes across as a more of a test run than a full adventure. So yeah guys, that's it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, let me know what you think of the video, and as always, I hope you enjoy.